Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. This is my 2022 Subaru WRX, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 tips and 5 things that you just want to watch out for if you're new to this platform, if you're getting into a WRX for your first time. And this also applies to a lot of you who have bought the BRZ and GR86. This applies to you. So sit back, relax, give this video a like, a thumbs up, a comment, and I'm gonna briefly cover 5 things that you guys should be aware of if you're jumping into this platform. And guys, I know for a lot of you, this list is just gonna be really simple, but for a lot of people too, they're new to the platform and things from Honda don't translate over to Subaru or it's Volkswagen or vice versa. These in general are good tips to use, to utilize. However, there's a lot of people that just throw stuff at the car, it breaks, and then they blame Subaru for it. This is just some things that you should be watching out for if you buy your WRX. Let's jump into it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about, and this is in no particular order, is oil. And there's a couple things that we need to talk about in oil, but it's 2 points that I wanna make. First and foremost, with this new WRX or a new GR86, a new BRZ, you are running very, very lightweight oil in these cars. And the reason Subaru does it is for emissions purposes. It's for gas mileage. And obviously they've done a lot of testing. So I'm not to say that, hey, if you run the standard oil that your dealer puts in, I think it's OW, it's just super, super lightweight. I'm not saying that your car is gonna blow up, you're gonna have issues with it. However, if you're buying a Subaru and going through it, you at least need to be running 5W30 or something with even more viscosity to it. Just because it's a turbocharged engine, thinner weight oil, just think about it, it's thinner oil in between parts that are very critical to making your engine work, and you wanna make sure that those are well lubricated and that you're not having any issues. So the first thing you guys need to be aware of, the car is gonna come with some very lightweight oil. You can continue to run it. However, even the manual and a lot of people out there suggest you need to run a thicker oil. Now, the oil that you use can vary based on where you live in the country, can based on climates and different things. However, this oil is in the car for emissions purposes, for gas mileage. And it's not if you're gonna put a thicker oil in your car, all of a sudden you're just gonna get terrible gas mileage, but it does have an effect. So the first thing is the oil that you're putting in the car. The second thing that you guys cannot skip out on are oil changes. If you're new to the Subaru community, it is just kind of the written rule, the written handbook. You need to get your oil changes frequently. This isn't a Toyota, this isn't a Honda, and you can't run it for 10, 15, 20,000 miles, don't change your oil. And I don't even think Honda or Toyota would recommend that. The manual suggests every 5,000 miles. The rule of thumb that all of you should be following is every 3,000 miles. Now, a lot of people say when you first get the car, especially if you're taking delivery of it like I did, you know, after your first 1,000 miles, change the oil. And then after that, every 3,000 miles. So this is something you do not want to skip out on. You do not want to go past the date. With a Subaru, that is just like the golden rule, that you want to make sure that you're staying up to date on your oil changes so you can prevent engine failure and a lot of future issues. Do not treat this like a Honda. Do not treat this like a Toyota. You will regret it. So oil changes every 3,000 miles. And honestly, if you don't drive your car a lot and it's taking you, months and months and months, you need to change it at least, every 5 to 6 months if you're not hitting that 3,000 mile mark. But hopefully you should be doing that much sooner than that. The next item on the list is something that was different for me, but also at the same time I was used to. You almost have to treat Subarus like an old tractor engine. These cars you do not want to just start up and start driving. Let the car warm up, let it get up to temperature. And, I always go back to the saying of treat it like an old farm tractor, and that's something I've seen on a lot of forums. That's what I've seen from a lot of people that know Subarus even better than I do, that just say, hey, make sure you let your car warm up. And it's really important. You guys notice on startups with these, they're a little bit louder. Same on the BRZ, same on the GR86, but it's really important to let these cars warm up properly before you drive them. You don't want to just hop in it and drive it out and about. And honestly, that's just a good practice really for any car. I'm not going to belabor that point, but just make sure that your car is getting up to temperature before you move it. A lot of people have varying opinions on what that looks like, but for me, I'm usually waiting anywhere from, a minute if I'm in a hurry to, 3 to 4 minutes, but just make sure that the car is getting warm before you drive it. So another point for you guys, this is a turbocharged car. The rule of thumb with this car is you do not want to be lugging the car. Now, when I say lugging the car, obviously I'm talking for those of you that have the manual transmission, for those of you that have this Subaru Performance transmission, you really don't have a whole lot to worry about. But if you're in this car, you don't want to be in 6th gear and be going 30, 40 miles an hour and just lugging it up a hill. It's not good for the car. It's not good for the turbo. It's not good for the engines. You can't treat this like a naturally aspirated car. And even in some of those cars, it's still not good to do. Even if you're trying to just to save gas, mileage, or maybe you forgot, you always want to make sure that you're just not heavily lugging the engine. And as you're doing the break-in period, you definitely need to be cautious of that. You need to be cautious of not staying in the same gear for long periods of time or maintaining the same speed. You need to vary your speed, vary the RPM. But even when your car is broken in, you do not want to lug the engine. You do not want to lug the turbo. It's just something not good for them. And the last topic, and there's so much we could talk about with this. Subaru gets a really bad rap and reputation because people don't know what they're doing with this platform. People will throw modifications on these cars. They will tune these cars. They'll do all sorts of crazy things, and then they blame Subaru when it blows up, that, hey, it's your guys' fault. You know, that couldn't be further from the truth. When it comes to Subaru, this is a very temperamental machine. You do not want to run any type of performance parts on this car without tuning it. Anytime you want to add a modification, your next thing needs to be, I need a professional tune. Get a tune, get a tune. So many people want to run air intakes on this, you know, whether it's ETS, there's Perrin, there's so many different intakes out there. And don't get me wrong, do I want more turbo noises from my car? Absolutely I do. But at what expense? There's a lot of cars out there that you can throw an intake on them and you have no issues whatsoever with them. They run fine, the computer learns it. But with these cars, anytime you're bringing or increasing airflow, you need to make sure that you're tuning it. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a bad taste in your mouth that these cars are unreliable. And I don't believe that to be true. It's all in how you maintain them. It's all in what you do. So if you're buying one of these cars and you just go, I'm gonna keep it fairly stock. I'm just gonna throw an intake on it. Don't do it. Don't risk it. I'm just gonna throw a charge pipe on it. I'm just gonna throw a blow-off valve on it. I am just going to just do a few things like that, but I'm not gonna tune it. Guys, you gotta decide when you get these cars. Are you gonna put performance parts on it and tune it properly and obviously risk your warranty? Or are you gonna keep it stock and just enjoy it in its form? You have to make that choice because there's really no in between. Anytime you start modifying the car, you run the risk of it blowing up. You run the risk of a dealer not, accepting the warranty work for the car. So as it pertains to Subaru, and other brands, GTIs with Volkswagen, Honda Civics, you can throw intakes on them and not have a problem. You don't need to reset or readjust things. It calibrates to it. But this car with a cold air intake, it'll suck in more air and it just causes problems with the engine. So there's other things you guys need to look out for if you're running, let's say a Cobb off-the-shelf tune. If you're running, just some of those off-the-shelf tunes and you're not running their equipment in it, you have the likelihood of blowing up your car. If you're running an ETS intake off of a Cobb, tune, you need to run the Cobb parts for the Cobb tune. Some tuners that I've heard good success with is the Drunk Man tune. I've heard really good results from that. But guys, anytime you start modifying your cars, you run the risk of them blowing up. And it's not Subaru's fault. It's nobody's fault except yours. You run the risk when you do it. But if you do it right and you do it smart, you can have an amazing machine that performs very well. And these cars can stand the test of time and being able to do that. So we could talk forever about this, guys. We could talk, transmission swaps. We could talk so many different things. On my car, all I have is the charcoal air filter delete, which definitely gave me a little bit more induction noise when I got rid of it. And I have an axle back exhaust. That's it. I've seen a study that the Perrin intake without a tune really doesn't alter it. It really does pretty good with it. But what you're trying to avoid is you're trying to avoid the car knocking. You're trying to just avoid, just very low, just air dam drops. And that's what can cause failure in the engine. So guys, if you're getting into this platform, if you're new, and for a lot of you who are very familiar with Subaru, all of this is true. Guys, just make sure that if you're putting on performance parts, do it right and tune it. If not, don't. Is there anything I left off this list? Is there anything that you guys would add to this in owning a Subaru? Anything that you guys think that, you know, we should adjust or change or go through, or or anything you guys would add to this list of things that you just think, you know, that you should do with Subaru? I'm new to the platform. I don't know everything, but, and sorry, I kind of kept the same camera angle just because the sky tonight is amazing, but I love how my car looks. Probably like to lower it a little bit. I think front grille would look really good. And there's also some parts right there for kind of the front bumper that you can install where the fog lights are. But guys, those are some tips, some tricks as you're, you know, working with Subaru, if you're dealing with it. Now, a lot of people suggest, well, if you want to modify your car, you can do the JB4 tune, which is just a piggyback tune. It just tricks the computer into, you know, applying, you know, more air, different things just to make the car perform better. And you can remove it before you go into the dealer, and supposedly they don't detect it. Some brands can, some brands can't, but I've also seen mixed results with that. But I still think if you guys want to improve the performance, do it right, get a tune. I don't know if I'd do the off-the-shelf tunes. I'd go to a legitimate tuner. But anyways, guys, the sky is amazing. This car is amazing. You guys are amazing. Please like, comment, subscribe, leave anything in the video that maybe I left off, and we will catch you on the next video.